Mercian Hockey were kind enough to send me out one of their new range. This is the CK95 stick in the Ultimate 2 low bow profile. The stick has a 95% carbon layup featuring Mercian's quad carbon sleeve technology, as well as their vibration reduction, a special nano resin and tungsten diffused Kevlar, all to add to the stiffness and hitting power of this stick. The stick I received weighed in at 523 grams and had a balance point 41 centimeters from the head of the stick. The Ultimate version 2 bow is an extreme low bow profile with a 24mm bow located 200mm from the head of the stick. The Ultimate 2 is an aggressive low bow, which means that the stick is mostly straight right up until the maximum bow point, and then it curves very sharply. The stick is very stiff, so in terms of feel on the ball, it has great feedback. So whenever you're receiving the ball and carrying it, you know the instant the ball touches the head of the stick, and because of that you can adapt very quickly to keeping the ball under control. What I will say is, because of the aggressive low bow profile, the angle on the face is also quite aggressive, which means you've got to focus on getting your left hand forward when trapping the ball to stop it rolling up the stick. Once you've got that under control though, it's very easy to keep the ball on the end of the stick when dribbling, and because of the high balance point and relatively low weight, the head of the stick feels really light, which means it's fantastic for dribbling. You can move the ball around so quickly. Because of that light head, V-drags or lateral drags are just fantastic with this stick. You can easily drag the ball a huge distance very quickly, keeping the ball glued to the head of the stick. Because of that aggressive low bow, it's also great for 3D skills. Lifting the ball into the air to take it over a defender's stick is incredibly easy because of the bow and the shaved head. So the head is slightly thinner on the back edge here, which means it's even easier to get under the ball and lift it just over a stick to beat the defender. The stick is fantastic for hitting. Even though it's got that light head that I just talked about, the amount of power that this stick generates when shooting is phenomenal. I don't know if it's intentional, but because of the thin head, there's almost a spine that runs through the back of the head that goes right through the back of the sweet spot, which just strengthens the stick up in that area when you're hitting the ball and gives fantastic power generation. Because of the aggressive low bow, it's very easy to get under the ball when shooting, and so you can easily fire it into the roof of the net consistently, and I think it's just fantastic when it comes to shooting. When you're hitting the ball for a pass, as long as you get your left hand forward, you still have that huge power generation, but it's very easy to keep it flat as long as you adapt your technique for using an extreme low bow profile. The stick has a good reverse edge. The profile doesn't have a super thick reverse edge, but it's thick enough that you can consistently hit through the middle of the ball and keep it under control, but thin enough that you can angle your stick slightly to hit just below the center to cause the ball to lift consistently and with control. It still has that amazing power generation from the open stick side, possibly again a little bit better, as I say with all sticks, just because you're hitting through with the mass of the stick but with a small edge, so I often think that you get a little bit better power transfer when hitting on the reverse. I found in using this stick that I was quite confident taking the ball onto my reverse for a shot, but a little bit less confident when playing hard passes, especially in pressure areas like down the line from defense, or firing the ball across goal for a tap-in from a teammate. But with a bit more time with the stick, I think I would be quite comfortable doing it even in those circumstances. Future Boss here, just coming back to add in, I used this stick a little bit more from when I recorded the previous section. What I found was, with a slight adaptation to my technique, I was able to consistently hit the ball flat with this stick, and it gave me a great deal of confidence taking the ball onto my reverse in those high pressure situations that I talked about, specifically for firing the ball across goal for a teammate to tap in at the back post. I was more than confident enough that I could hit the ball flat for them to run onto without any risk of the ball lifting. But when it came to shooting on reverse, I really liked this stick. It had great power transfer through that reverse edge, and it gave me enough confidence of exactly the height I was going to play the ball at to take it on and fancy my chances against most goalkeepers. This being an extreme low bow profile, it was fantastic for flicking. The shaved head made it effortless to get under the ball, and you could generate so much power through the head of the stick because of that high balance point. So you could whip through and absolutely fling the ball into the corners of the goal. Because of the angle of the face, it's easy to motivate the ball up onto the head of the stick and into the bow if you want to add power when shooting. But also because of that low weight, once the ball's on the head of the stick, you can just whip through because of the high balance point to generate a great deal of power as well. I already talked about this stick being good for 3D skills, but it's also good for low lifted passes to teammates. So just lifting the ball a few inches off the ground to lift it over the defender's stick into space or onto a teammate's stick so they can beat their player. The accuracy was fantastic because of the stiffness. There's no flex, so wherever you pointed the stick was where the ball ended up. When it came to overheads, this stick was amazing. I was honestly caught off guard the first time I used this stick with how easy it was to throw a 60-meter overhead. I found it almost effortless to throw the ball from halfway over the goal in the review session, which was the first time I picked up this stick. I was very quickly able to dial this stick in, and I was confident chucking the ball maybe even 3/4 of the pitch with accuracy to a teammate's stick or into a space for them to run onto. I cannot stress how fantastic I found this stick. This is possibly the best stick that I have ever picked up for throwing overheads with. And that is a big claim with some of the sticks that I have used. The high balance point, low weight, and the Ultimate version 2 profile combined to give fantastic overhead distance and accuracy. When it came to drag flicking, this stick was fantastic. The extreme low bow profile was amazing for power generation. You could easily move the ball up to the maximum bow point and whip through to generate a huge amount of power. And because of the stiffness of the stick, you could accelerate through without worrying about the stick flexing, and it gave amazing accuracy on drag flicks. I especially found it generated humongous amounts of power when I was flicking low and keeping the ball maybe up to top backboard height. Obviously that affects technique and you stay lower in the drag for longer, and that maybe just allowed the ball to whip down the stick more aggressively and just hold on the head of the stick. So I had a slightly longer drag and that generated more power, but this stick truly was fantastic when I was drag flicking. I was easily able to flick the ball into the top corners of the goal, and I was confident whenever I was taking out a drag flick in a game with this stick that I was going to find wherever I wanted to place the ball. Because of the angle on the face, the pickup was fantastic. So as you get ahead of the ball, the angle on the face with this stick created a nice square edge, so it carried the ball forward. With some sticks you can sometimes get too far ahead and it will push the ball into the pitch, and that just slows down the drag a little bit. But because of the angle on this stick, the pickup behind you was on almost a square face to the ground, and it just allowed you to accelerate through the ball in the drag phase effortlessly. And again, I think that just added to the power generation with this stick. So I think this stick is fantastic. I honestly think this is possibly up there with one of my favorite non-grooved sticks for drag flicking. The power generation from this stick was just fantastic. The combination of the face angle and the bow position just allowed such power generation with so little effort. Possibly factoring in the light head as well, meaning that you could generate a great deal of speed through the ball, and the touch compound on the face keeping the ball held on the head of the stick, giving you confidence in the accuracy. But this stick was truly fantastic for drag flicking. Combined with that, it has great hitting power, and the ease of which you can use this for dribbling is great as well. But this stick really shines in the specialty skills, so overheads, drag flicks. this is definitely something you're going to want to try if you are a drag flicker and you like to chuck overheads in a game, because this stick was truly superb. It was consistent and gave me a lot of confidence in every other area of the game. So taking tomahawks, taking shots at goal, and flicking, obviously this was fantastic. But when dribbling with the ball, I was confident in keeping it under control the entire time. And like I say, those specialist skills, it was just amazing and a real game changer in my eyes. So if you are a drag flicker and you like to chuck aerials, absolutely go and check out the Mercian Elite CK95 Ultimate 2 stick. As I say, I don't think I've used a stick without a groove that drag flicks this well, and the ease at which you could chuck massive overheads was truly unrivaled with this stick. If you're liking what I'm doing with reviews and giveaways and everything through Boss F Hockey, please like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment. It helps people to see the content that I'm putting out. And if you want to support further, I have the Boss F Hockey Club that's available via Patreon, my website bossfhockey.com, or as an Instagram membership. You can join for free on Patreon and bossfhockey.com, or as a paid member. As a paid member, you get better perks, but even as a free member, you get bonus entries into all giveaways, and it helps me to run the channel and do things like reviews and giveaways as often as I can. If you want to support further, you can buy some merch. I've got Boss F Hockey t-shirts and hats available on my website as well. But even if you don't want to do any of that, thank you for watching.